In the headlines tonight, government reaffirms commitment to conduct reintegration of regional special forces all over the nation and at the same time. Strong water diplomacy and communication said pivotal in correcting wrong narratives about GERD. Good evening to you all. Very warm welcome to ETV News. I'm Grum Tariku. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed hosted the annual Iftar dinner at the Grand Palace in honor of impoverished community members observing the Ramadan fasting season. Leaders of the Ethiopian Islamic Supreme Council and high-ranking government officials were present at the Iftar dinner. During the occasion, the participants appreciated Prime Minister for the hosting the Iftar, noting that Ramadan is a month of compassion and collaboration among humanities. Sheikh Muhammad Karim, an Islamic religious scholar, told the media that helping the poor is one of the foundations of Islamic teachings, pointing out that the Iftar dinner demonstrates the Premier's commitment to help impoverished citizens and his affection to this segment of the community. The government communication service stated that reintegration of regional special forces into National Defence Force will take place in all regions and concurrently. Briefing the media here today, State Minister of Government Communications Service, Salamite Kassa, said the reform is aimed at forming a strong and centralized national army capable of defending the nation against external threats.
በየትኛውም ክልል የሚገኘው የልዩ ኃይል የኢትዮጵያውያንን የህልውና ምሰሶ ወደ ሆነው
Reforms on regional forces will be implemented in all regions concurrently. The confusion emanates from the lack of timely communication and not understanding the purpose of the reform properly. The reforms carried out on the National Defence Forces so far aims at strengthening equipment, technology, manpower, and all other necessary means. For this reason, our National Defence Forces were able to perpetually back the threat posed on the sovereignty of the country. It is difficult to build a strong country without a strong security force. For a country like Ethiopia, located in a region with contentious issues, we have undertaken thorough studies to reform the regional special forces. We have conducted consecutive discussions with pertinent bodies, and this will be intensified.
ይሄም ሙሉ መብቱ ተጠብቆለት የሚከናወን ይሆናል ማለት ነው። ሶስተኛው አማራጭ ይሄ ነው።
Salamite Kassa underscored that this reform by no means neglects the indispensable role played by the regional special forces in defending the nation against threats from various armed insurgents. She further told journalists that the special forces bravely repulsed the threats posed against the territorial integrity of the nation. The government has given alternatives to the regional special force members, Salamite Kassa said, adding their interests will be respected.
The government offered options of integration to regional special force members, and their needs will be respected. The reintegration to be implemented carried out based on their preferences. Integrating into Ethiopian National Defence Forces for regions special forces should be the primary choice. There are also other options such as a return to civilian life or join the regional security institutions. Arrangements have been made for resettlement and necessary support for those who choose to return to civilian life. Reintegration works can only be done through proper communication. It should be understood that the reform has nothing to do with disarmament of regional special forces.
A member of the Ethiopian diaspora said that Egypt's propaganda regarding the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam GERD is unhelpful and meant to disrupt any diplomatic effort to settle the decade-long stalemate. Talking to ETV, the diaspora, Ephraim Zaudu, who resides in Brussels, Belgium, and coordinates Ethiopian diaspora community, said Ethiopia will not relent to any unlawful pressure on the dam. Johannes van Town sat with him and compiled the following report.
Although Ethiopia laid a cornerstone for what it is to become Africa's biggest dam upon completion about 12 years ago, the measure sparked a sensational reaction from downstream Egypt. Despite attempts to find a negotiated settlement over the dam on the Blue Nile, Egypt's unpredictable position and its attempt to wrench the Nile talks out of the African Union has only made matters worse. According to the diaspora member who sat down with ETV, Egypt's position is meant to harm Ethiopia and a revelation of its wish for it to remain in poverty.
Millions of Ethiopians are living under poverty. Millions of Ethiopians, nearly 60 million of Ethiopians need access to electricity. Ethiopians need access to sanitation, an improved way of life. So Ethiopians doesn't accept unimposed poverty on Ethiopian people. We believe there are various factors internally, but we also believe that one of the factors that's affecting us as a poverty is unimposed poverty, denying us to develop our resources to the benefit of Ethiopian people.
Moreover, Egypt has been consistent in its attempt to make sure that the decade-long Nile talks end in installment. Thus, instead of striving for a mutually acceptable remedy, Egypt has always been imposing its will, thus introducing an element of a deadlock into the negotiations.
On the other side, the perspective of the Egyptian government is to exclude Ethiopia. So the Egyptian government is not excluding a country that doesn't belong to the Nile riparian country. It's excluding one of the most important countries of the Nile basin that contributes 85% of the Nile River. This is unacceptable. The second thing is the Egyptian government repeatedly creates a propaganda and a lie against Ethiopian state and against Ethiopian people. And the allegations are based on assumptions of intentions. They say that they assume that Ethiopia has an intention to harm them. Ethiopia doesn't have an intention to harm them. Ethiopia has clarified its position that it's committed to fair and equitable share of the Nile resource. Whereas we see not an intention, but an action from Egyptians to harm the interest of Ethiopia in preventing us from accessing loans from the international community. These are not intentions. These are actions that are affecting, that are harming the interest of Ethiopian people.
Ephraim said that Ethiopia has no intention of harming the downstream countries while constructing the dam on Nile, adding it has entered into the construction phase only because the dam is a matter of survival for the nation, with no less than 65% of its people still having no access to electricity.
From our side, there is no intention to harm Egypt. There is a commitment for fair and equitable share, and that can come only through genuine negotiation with the Ethiopian people and the Ethiopian government, rather than trying to arm twist Ethiopia, rather than trying to destabilize Ethiopia, rather than trying to lobby other international actors to pressure Ethiopia. This approach will not work. The only way for Egypt to secure its interest is through genuine dialogue and cooperation with Ethiopia.
Addis Ababa contends the dam is essential, saying it will enable the distribution of electricity to its population of more than 110 million. The Renaissance Dam is also the centerpiece of Ethiopia's bid to become Africa's biggest power exporter, with a projected capacity of 6,500 megawatts. While the Horn of Africa nation has so far successfully filled its reservoir, a fourth round is around the corner.
Welcome to the land of origins. Commercial Bank of Ethiopia is pleased to serve all your traveler banking needs. If you have money from any of these 16 countries, you can convert it to local currency by visiting our nearest branch. Alternatively, our secure Forex ATMs accept cash exchange, or if you prefer using your cards, we've partnered with Visa, MasterCard, and UnionPay so that you can withdraw cash from our local ATMs or make cashless transactions at thousands of local POS partners securely and with confidence. We are linked with more than 700 global banks through our direct SWIFT address, CBE Theta. We also work with 16 international money transfer agents, out of which Tune and WorldRemit enable you to make direct deposits into our savings and current accounts or our popular CBE Birr mobile wallet. Commercial Bank of Ethiopia, the bank you can always rely on.
Back and you are watching ETV News. The concept of multilateral diplomacy is set to play a crucial role in cementing ties between global actors. Talking to ETV, Lulsaged Tadesse, Director of International Organizations Department with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, said nations abide by common shared values in various approaches. Goshumel Soha has the following.
Recently, the world needs to come together to scale up cooperation so as to control the common socio-economic and political challenges. Talking to ETV English, Director of International Organization Department at Ministry of Foreign Affairs underscored that countries need to scale up the concept of multilateralism diplomacy to solve their common problems.
We are living in a world where we share opportunities. Poverty is, for example, is a challenge. And it's now considered as a universal challenge because the impact of poverty would not be limited only to one or two countries. People would migrate looking for better opportunities. So in other words, addressing poverty cannot be only the responsibility of a single country. We have to come together and address the challenges that we face together.
According to the director, the concept of multilateralism should not violate the existing sovereignty of countries. The right decision-making power of a sovereign state is not placed for negotiation under the concept of multilateralism diplomacy.
We are living in a highly interdependent world, but we don't have any authority above states. That means we are living in an anarchical world. So whenever they face common challenges or opportunities, how do they approach it? They come together, sovereign state, based on their consent, and they said that we need to give up certain part of our decision-making power, certain part of our sovereignty, so that we can create somehow an independent body that could facilitate and coordinate policies with the ultimate objective of coming with common solutions.
The existing global order and unfair unipolar power competition among superpowers pose a threat on multilateralism diplomacy among countries, Lulsaged underlined.
The current world order, one would also say this order is characterized, among others, by great power competition. This great power competition has hampered cooperation and partnership at global level. So certain decisions could not be taken by international organizations because of the existing rivalry among the major powers. Even if there is agreement, unfortunately, it's not followed by effective implementation. The key point is, of course, the Sustainable Development Goals.
The Ministry of Water and Energy says creating strong water diplomacy and communication helps to create wrong narratives of the international community regarding water resource utilization in Ethiopia. Water and Energy Minister Habtamu Tafa underscored that while Ethiopia has a natural right to use water resource to snap itself out of poverty, some downstream riparian countries are politicizing the matter. This remark came during the 8th Water Hydro Diplomacy and Communication Forum held here in Addis Ababa today. Once again, Goshumar Soha has the details.
The enormous water resource potential of Ethiopia is underutilized due to colonial water treaty. However, there are plenty of opportunities that can transform the resource into collective social and economic needs. When Ethiopia erected GERD 12 years ago, Egypt was very concerned on Nile River water share. The Ministry of Water and Energy said creating strong water diplomacy and communication helps to correct the wrong narratives of the international community regarding water resource utilization in Ethiopia.
How we can really create synergy to bring people together who are working on hydro diplomacy in water, in hydro diplomacy, and how we can communicate them, that will be helping us to boost, to aware the international community where we are and what we should do and what we are planning to do, and how the other sides of our neighbors are also wrongly acting on Ethiopia.
Habtamu asserted that while Ethiopia has natural right to use water resources to carry out development activities, some riparian countries are politicizing the matter. He urged higher education institutions to intensify scientific researches on technical issues to aware the international community.
Riparian countries try to politicize water. We believe water is not politicized, it should be technical, fully technical. So that is why we are planning, or not planning already, we were planning now implementing to have university as a platform where to talk about technical, because university is purely universal and everything is also should be technical in terms of hydro diplomacy, in terms of water balance, for example, hydrology, pure hydrology, in terms of communication, as for example, how to communicate, hydrojournalism. All those concepts should come together and then amplified for international community.
Such kind of platforms are ideal to defend collectively to the mounting pressure of GERD, he noted. The minister has planned to engage neighboring countries' water resource experts in the upcoming water, hydro diplomacy and communication forum.
First, we have to be really sure that internally we are strong enough to show them that our publication is really audible everywhere. That is what we are doing now. In the last 1 year, we have successful journey in terms of bringing together Ethiopian professionals, for example, in graduation in universities, graduate universities, and in diplomats as well, who are working hard on hydro diplomacy, and journalists as well working on water sector. So once we start and we create a strong platform, our next destination is to invite professionals from neighboring countries and to tell what we are doing here to the international community.
The scholars presented researches and discussed various issues regarding the use of water resources.
Agricultural growth.
Oromo Cultural Center of Oromo Museum, located in the capital, Addis Ababa, just in front of the National Stadium.
You know, Oromo is known by the Gada system, socio-political and economic governance.
We are working our best with Ministry of Tourism and also the resource heritage development.
The center is collecting, organizing, documenting, conserving and preserving, again promoting the cultural, historical, art and the natural history heritage of the country, or the Oromia.
Berli bisi, shage berli bisi, odu disi, jalala nakisi.
The Ethiopian Ministry of Culture is undertaking various interventions to achieve its 10 years development plan. The Minister Qajeela Mardasa told ETV that various studies have been conducted to develop necessary regulations geared towards the country's prosperity. It also indicated that protecting the values and cultures of Ethiopia from foreign agents is given due consideration. Daniel Kasaun has talked to him and compiled the following piece.
The Ethiopian Ministry of Culture and Sports is poised of developing and safeguarding cultural values of the country, which are instrumental to ensure the aspired prosperity. In this direction, the ministry is undertaking key interventions to achieve in its 10 years development plan. This is according to Qajeela Mardasa, the Minister of Culture and Tourism.
We have to bring all these cultural values to use for the development of the country, for the nation building. It helps for everything. Culture is very powerful. When we say culture, culture is a vast activity. It's very vast. If we use culture for national development, national economy, especially in a nation building, it is very state building, it is very important.
The minister also indicated the values of Ethiopian culture are worthy of supporting the current strides of the people of Ethiopia to ensure transitional justice across the country.
In culture, there are, for example, indigenous knowledge. There is indigenous knowledge in the values. We are studying, documenting, and also the people practicing this indigenous knowledge, a lot of knowledge, traditional knowledge, traditional values, very important values, values for conflict resolution, knowledge on traditional medicine, knowledge on reconciliation and conflict resolution.
He also elaborated it is his minister's duty, along with the people of Ethiopia, to safeguard their cultural and social values, which are instrumental for Ethiopia achieve its development plans.
There are some culture coming from outside, which doesn't go with Ethiopia, with Ethiopian peoples. As you know, the Ethiopian peoples, most of them, almost all, as traditional society, still keeping intact their culture. If you go to the West, it is totally I don't know whether there is culture or not. I don't know. I don't understand, because everything is mismatch. But here, the social fabric is very high, very tight. The society is very interconnected. The society has its own rules, its own, each citizen, each individual is part of the corporate of the society. They can't live outside the corporate. So those values should continue.
The Ethiopian Ministry of Culture and Sports is also dedicated its efforts to foster the sports sector, which is so vital for the well-being and socio-economic development of citizens.
Two siblings residing in the USA has handed over 7,000 books collected from Ethio-American youth for the Grand Abrahot Library via the Ethiopian Embassy in Washington. Ayantu Abebe handed over the books collected by her children to the embassy. Ayantu Abebe underscored that the initiative of collecting books were carried out to ensure her children's strong bond with Ethiopia and to enable them to be good role models. The books were collected and handed over to help the library have sufficient access to books so that pursuit of reading in Ethiopia can be developed. Ayantu indicated Ethiopian ambassador to the US, Sleshi Bekele, thanked the siblings for the exemplary work done by donating books that will uplift the generation. Chief Executive Officer of Africa's biggest airliner, Ethiopian Airline, Mesfin Tasaw, says the airliner has become the pride of the aviation industry in Africa. In an exclusive interview with the Aviation Business Journal, Tasaw dwelt at length on the growth of the airliner and its future projections. The CEO said that the flag carrier is moving forward with a new 15 years strategic plan, Vision 2035, where it is expected to pave the way in building an African airline transport giant. Speaking about the airline's execution and performance of Vision 2025, he said nearly all the visions in the strategic roadmap had been achieved ahead of time.